Hello, welcome to today's story behind the song, and the song is Shine Your Light. If you've ever seen Skin live, there's a very strong chance that that was always the last song of the night. It was a big song in our live show. It was one of the songs that I wrote first when I knew what the concept of the band was. As always, it sort of came from a guitar riff, which tends to be the way that I write songs. The riff comes first. Based upon that Montrose thing that I spoke about before, is the riff was it's Bad Company, Free, Led Zeppelin, it's all in there, all of those influences. And the bigger deal is what the lyrics were about. The song was very much based upon, there's so much apathy that goes on in the world, especially like now. And it was the meaning behind the song was, whatever hatred you have, whatever anger you have, put that all aside for these moments and let's just unite and become one. And within a live concert, especially at the end of the night, it was a real moment where band and audience connected. And for me, it was one of our most powerful songs, and one of the songs that very much defines Skin as an entity. One of the things that when I look back on Skin and the personnel that were involved, that it was a very special band. And even though I was very much the person who was behind all of it, I'm very aware that the only reason that people ever come to see Skin was mainly for Neville MacDonald, because he is an exceptional singer, one of the greatest, not only in the world, but one of the greatest ever. And I've worked with some great singers, but the thing that separates him from all of the others is that what you saw on stage, which was that absolute rock god, total concentration, total commitment, it was 24/7. I've recorded many albums with him, and whenever we went into the studio, the same meticulous detail went to it, complete commitment. Whenever we went on tour, the preparation was immaculate. There was no drinking on tour. He'd make sure he'd get all of his rest. Sometimes we were doing 6 shows a week. The warm-up would start at about 5 o'clock. There'd be very little talking in the course of a day. Then there would be the warm-up before the stage show, completely delivered every single night. I often compare musicians to footballers, and if I had to make a comparison, then Neville MacDonald was a Lionel Messi. And the reason I make that comparison is he would go out and score a hat-trick every single night, or 2, and he'd never want any particular thanks for it. He'd never be the one that was going, look at me, aren't I special? Or I want you to know how great I am. In all of the years that I ever worked with him, I never heard him ever seek compliments or need praise or what's the word for it? He was just so secure in himself that there was no need for any of that. If anything, when we were in the studio, he questioned his own ability, often asking, is that good enough? Is that okay? When the reality is it was better than most people in the world. And in the thing about Shine Your Light, at the end of the night, there was always a moment where he would do these big notes. and give this final good night to the show, you know. And I've stood on that stage with him many times, and just take a step back, and you would watch, and you were watching greatness, you know, without question, you know. And all you could do is just stand there and go, I just can't believe how great this is, and how privileged I was to be in a band with him for that period of time. And all of the members of Skin were as committed and as focused, and we all took it very seriously. And we feared no one whenever we went on tour. We never felt intimidated by anyone, and we felt that we would go out and win the show every single night, whether we be on tour with Thunder, whether we be on tour with Whitesnake, or anyone. You know, there was never any fear. And so Shine Your Light has a very special meaning within Skin, and for me it encapsulates everything that we ever tried to do as a band. So I don't really have, you know, much more to say about that song. All I can add to this is over the years I've been asked a lot, what happened to Skin? Will you reform? Why did you break up? And I can only give you my version of events. You know, the first time that Skin broke up, it was literally because there was no money. You know, we'd run its course. The way that Skin was, it was a partnership, and all of the money that came into it, whether it be record company money, whether it be merchandise money, whether it be publisher money, it all went into one pot. Even though I wrote all of the songs, I put all of the publisher money into the band, which basically means I was paying everyone's wages for a large part of the time. But eventually the money dried up. We were no longer a band that drew enough people to keep us alive. We weren't big in multiple territories, and we just needed to eat, so we had to call it a day. And I remember when Skin broke up, I think I had about £1,000 in the bank account. And you have to remember, through the whole time of Skin, we were paid £100 a week for at least 50% of that time. It went up to £150 a week, and that was when we had a top 10 album, top 20 singles, and we were selling out venues all around the country. That's all we ever made. All the merchandise money went back into the band, and to keep it going for as long as it did. So that's when the band sort of broke up first time round. Then when we got back together in 2009, we'd been asked by Download, Andy Copping in particular, if we would reform and play Download. We hadn't seen each other for many years, but we managed to get together, and we did it. And from there was like a carry on. We made another album, we did a tour, we went on tour with Little Angels, and you know, it went on for much longer than we initially planned. And then I was told by the band members that they could no longer do it because they had jobs and there was not enough time, and you know, all perfectly legitimate reasons. But because I hadn't played music for so long, I wanted to keep music going, and so I formed Red, White and Blues. And so for a period of time there was two bands existing. The other thing to take on board was that I was funding it all. I was paying for everything. Not one penny came in from any other member of Skin during that time. I paid for all of the costs. But there was two bands going on. So Red, White and Blues were doing well. We were supporting Chickenfoot and Whitesnake and Lynyrd Skynyrd, and everything was on the up, and Skin was still going, and we were being asked to do shows, and we were on tour with Little Angels. So I didn't really think that there was any kind of problem at all. Nev was actually in the original lineup of Red, White and Blues. We played at the Stillhouse Festival together. We played at Hyde Park together. So I didn't think there was any problem. And when Red, White and Blues played a show, Nev's band, Hand of Dimes, supported us. I didn't think it was a problem. He got up on stage with us. Never thought there was any issue. And then as two bands went on, it materialized that both Skin and Red, White and Blues had been asked to play Download at the same year. Red, White and Blues were playing on the Saturday, I believe, and Skin were playing on the Sunday. So both of us are sort of heading towards this period of, this festival. And then Red, White and Blues got asked to support ZZ Top. 2 shows. Who wouldn't want to do that? So I put a call into the singer Red, White and Blues, and I could hear him sort of umming and ahhing about not being able to do it. And I sort of said, well, why not? And he said, well, someone in my family isn't well and I'm not quite sure what's going on. This was about 6 weeks before it was meant to happen. And Download was a couple of weeks after that. So as we get closer and closer and closer, still not getting any commitment from the singer of Red, White and Blues that he's going to be able to do the ZZ Top shows. On top of this, Skin and Red, White and Blues were meant to be doing warm-up shows prior to Download. The business sense of that is, it's same crew, same tour bus, same hotels. Logistically, it would have made complete sense. One band played on one day, one played on the other, but we still get to do warm-up shows. So once again, being business-minded and the person who run the business of the band, it made complete sense to me that I would just play in each band, still thinking that there's no problem. So then it gets closer to ZZ Top dates, and it becomes completely clear that the singer can't come over and do the shows, which was obviously a bit disappointing because everyone had put so much commitment into something. Then we get closer to Download, and then it appears that the singer isn't going to do Download either because of whatever the personal problem is going on at home. So we have to make a decision of, do we cancel Red, White and Blues, or do we find someone to sing on the day? So the natural choice was to ask Neville whether he would sing for Red, White and Blues, 6 songs. Bearing in mind, Nev had been in the band before, never really saw that would be a problem. So I asked him if he would stand in for Matty on the day, at which point he said no, which came as a big surprise to me. So then I told the promoter of Download that we wouldn't be able to do Download with Red, White and Blues, and he asked why, and I told him why, and then someone asked Nev again, at which point he agreed, and so we thought, okay, fantastic. Nev will sing on the Saturday for Red, White and Blues, and then we'll play on the Sunday. And then the next thing I hear is via a press release that Nev has left the band, or Skin. I've never spoken to him about it. I've never had a conversation with him about it, so I don't really know the full story of it. All I can assume is, he has his reasons. He had his reasons for doing it, and I have to respect them. And there's not much more I can sort of add to that. Was I left with all of the debt? Yes, I was. Did I think it was a fair thing to do? No, I don't. As far as I was concerned, and still am concerned, is Skin was formed by me. All the songs were written by me. And for many years I funded everything. And the decisions of the people not to play the festival meant that Skin fans would never get to see the band again. And that sort of thing happens a lot in the music business, I guess, over the years. It's nothing that I've ever done, but what can you do? But that is what happened. That's my version of events. I will state right now, it's no secret that I'm a particularly obsessive person, and that obsessive drive was very much the thing that made Skin tick. But that was no surprise to anyone, and hardly new news to anyone. And that's where we are now. So upon reading the press release about leaving the band, I've never had any contact with anyone else, and that's what it is. That's how the band finished, and how the band will stay finished. But so hopefully that gives clarity and insight into what happened. So when you next ask or send a message or leave a post, or that's my version of events, and that's it. But I was very proud to be a member of Skin. Very proud of the music we made and the connection we made with the fans. The greatest time of my life. And there's not really much more I can say to that, but hopefully that will give some sort of clarity and understanding as to what went on. All right, well, take care. Bye-bye.